Bring in Democratic California Congressman and a member of the House Financial Services and Foreign Affairs Committees, Brad Sherman. Congressman, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out for us on this Saturday afternoon. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Molly. And I want to clarify one thing. I am not at CPAC.
That is true. I can tell. Yes, it seems much quieter where you are. Very peaceful. This is great. We can hear you just fine. I want to start with the Biden administration's and the strikes in Syria. There have been a number of your Democratic colleagues that have come out against these strikes that were, of course, targeting specifically Iranian-backed militia efforts. These were intended not to create a lot of casualties, but to be done at a point in time where it would affect infrastructure. They said they wanted to send a message, essentially. At least Representative Ro Khanna, this is a Democrat out of California, of course, one of your colleagues, said there's absolutely no justification for a president to authorize a military strike that is not in self-defense against an imminent threat without congressional authorization. Now, a number of your colleagues have shared similar sentiments. Where do you stand on these strikes in Syria?
I think the vast majority of our caucus supports what President Biden did. First, as a legal matter, we did authorize the use of force in Iraq. I was there for that vote. Many were not. And that authorization allows us, of course, to protect our forces. When you under-respond to an attack, when you fail to respond, you invite another attack. When we failed to sanction Russia for what it did to our elections, we ended up, by under-responding, with them targeting our soldiers in Afghanistan and putting bounties on their heads. When Iran kills or tries, our contractor tries to kill our soldiers in Iraq, we need to respond. And the response was entirely legal because and people would say we should repeal it. We probably should modify it or repeal it. But we did, as a Congress, authorize the deployment of forces to Iraq. And that includes defending those forces from attacks that may originate on the Syrian side.
Congressman, shifting gears, there in the early morning hours today, somewhere around 2 a.m., the COVID relief bill has been put through. It's heading for the Senate now at this point in time. But there's been a lot of controversy about this. President Biden speaking out just about an hour ago and talking about how this is something that Americans favor. And yet, here it happened in the middle of the night, early in the morning. What is in this? There's been a lot of disagreement. No Republicans voted for it. 2 Democrats voted against it. And the argument is that there's simply too much pork in it. It's not targeted enough. Your thoughts on the package that you've actually created that's heading over to the Senate now?
Well, the greatest nerve or chutzpah is when Republicans say it's wrong because we voted in the middle of the night. We were going to be voting in the early evening, and then they used every delaying tactic in the book in order to push the vote. And so the vote was indeed in the wee hours. This bill is popular with the American people because they want us to spend $160 billion, everything it takes for vaccination and to deal with this pandemic. They want us to extend unemployment insurance to those who, with no fault of their own, are not getting a paycheck. They want that $2,000. We gave them only $600. The other $1,400 per person is in this bill. And it is the Republicans who start attacking Democrats as if we're trying to defund police. State and local government spend lion's share of its money on public safety, and their revenues are down. Particularly sales tax revenue is down. Income tax revenue is down in many states. And if we don't replace that revenue, they're going to have to cut the amount they spend on public safety. So,
Congressman Sherman, before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about the bipartisan effort that was supposed to be happening here, a new administration coming in, and yet here we see a bill going forward that no Republicans voted for, and even 2 Democrats voted against, including Representative Jared Golden, who is a representative out of Maine. And his complaint that he raised, a Democrat once again raising this complaint, essentially that they had already passed an enormous amount of relief that has yet to be spent. So what about that argument that just now this is too much spending and it's not targeted enough as this heads for the Senate?
Well, the vast majority of it is targeted on things that the American people understand and strongly support. Deal with the virus, provide unemployment insurance, provide $1,400 per person at a tough time, and aid state and local government, and allow us to maintain our public safety and our schools. I think that's solid. Obviously, in a bill this long, you can always find this or that provision that you disagree with. Every bill could be made better. I haven't ever voted for a bill that was perfect. But I think that this is what the American people want. As for it not being bipartisan, we propose $1.9 trillion. A group of 10 Republican senators might have been willing to go 1/3 that large, but they haven't said what big piece would they take out. Yeah. Would they take out the rescue money we have in here for restaurants? Would they take out the $1,400? Would they take out the unemployment insurance?
It'll be interesting to see what happens, what ultimately goes down over in the Senate and what you guys get back when it all returns. Representative Sherman, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thanks for your insights.
Good to be with you, Molly.